Hi, it's Jez here from Nigezza.co.uk. Thank you for joining me today. So today is the Stamp Around UK video hop, and we are a group of UK demonstrators who, the first of every month, do a video hop. And so all the links, look at my mucky mat, it's not much better. All the links are down below, so you can go and see what everybody else has made. So please do that after you finish watching me and share some crafty love. And this month our theme is anything but a card. So you're going to see a variety of things, and you might see some sneak peeks of new products. You're going to see a sneak peek of these two products being used by me. These are the tailor-made tags, and I just love them. And what I love mostly about them is that you've got the little reinforcers and you can cut loads out. So you cut 4 of those circle reinforcers out at one time, and then this sort of more traditional style shaped tag, you've got these different shaped ones, which are great. I haven't actually taken it off this. I always find it hard. So you can cut 3 of those out at one time, so you can stick one on the front and one on the back, which brilliant, because as you know, I like to make journals and scrapbooks. So this was why this was an absolute must-have for me from my pre-order, and I love the fact that they're stitched and different shapes. And then this one is the Meadows dies, and these are just fabulous. You get all of these lovely flowers and foliage that you can use. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them, and you've also got a couple of butterflies, some tags, and these little, I suppose they're leaves. I'm not 100% sure what they are, but you know, they look cute. And then that comes with a stamp set as well, which I just love these elements. I'm going to be using those for making things look a bit vintage. And what a lovely floral there. So certainly going to use these in my journals, the vintage style ones anyway. So what I'm doing is I'm using a ready-made book. Normally I make them myself, but we had an amazing holiday in 2019, and I've not scrapbooked it yet. And so I was going to use the World of Good DSP to make my own book and then put the pictures in. And then I just decided I need to do it because it's going to be nearly 2 years since we went, and I need to sort it out. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to give you some tips of using these, and I'm going to show you how I did some things. So what I'm going to do now is, I don't show you how I make this page, but I just thought I'll show you the tags. So that is the biggest tag in here. How gorgeous is that? And you've got the reinforcer on each side there. How lovely. I really like that. That's where I'm going to journal. So we're going to write the story of this, and I've made pockets here in these sort of photos, so so that we can remember the amazing thing about discovering this bookshop at like 11:30 at night after we'd had a few gins. Well, Ed didn't drink gin, and yeah, so I can write all that, and got a little heart there where I can again write. Made a pocket there out of that. Those are the memory more cards. So I think the world of you. Yeah, books for Ed, gin for me. And then the next day in Times Square, Ed Sheeran appeared up on one of the big boards, and so I'm just playing on the fact that I love Ed and they're both Ed. And that took ages because I had to take one photo when it came round and it was on a loop, and then we had to wait for the next one, and then I had several goes at making it look like I was giving him a kiss. So that probably took about half an hour, and Ed's standing there going, "Can we go? It's hot. Can we go?" So it's quite funny. So got a little bit there to record all that. So yeah, but now I'm going to get on with some crafting and stop waffling. Okay. All I do is I start what I'm doing in this video, and then just to sort of give you an idea of what I'm doing. And if you've ever thought of scrapbooking and think, oh, it's really long, how to sort of kind of do it in a sort of a quick way. Okay. So I've pulled this out. I thought this would make a nice sort of bold statement on the cover. So I've got my brass foil, because this is brass foiling, and I thought I'd make a nice little cover for it. I thought they would go nicely on there, and then I'd use this for my title page. I thought I'd put 2019 round there using the playful alphabet dies, and then I'd put our US adventure. That was my thoughts. So I'm going to get this trimmed down, and I thought I'd do it sort of speeded up for you. So I just realised that it's not actually 12 by 12, so I had to just trim down the foil and the foil sheet so that it would mat nicely. And then I'm gutting the brass foiling, because why waste all that? And then I've got it all ready to use for other things. So I'm just laying out the letters and getting them ready to cut. So I've cut all the letters out, and I'm going to stick them on, and I've dug out my fine tip glue pen, and I've just been cleaning it, and I'm seeing if that works better. I don't want Tombow because they're only small areas, and it's on foil, and so it tends to dull it if I get it on it. So fingers crossed this works. So I got all of those letters out of that strip, including the heart that I had to put in the end, because I made a rookie mistake. The heart comes from many hearts, of not centering. What I should have done is seen that was the middle point and put the one side and the 0 the other. But with the heart on it, it worked. But I did remember to do that when I was doing adventure. So that is ready now to go on the front of my cover piece. And with the foil that I've gutted, I think I might mat these so that they pop a little bit more off the page. So I'm going to cut one and then we'll see. So these are 6 by 4. So I'm going to make sure that that's a nice right angle. Yeah. So if it's 4 that way, we'll go to 4 1/4. So we get our usual sort of mat. And then we'll go to 6 1/4. That means we have to come out a bit. And that will go on like so. I think I've cut that in such a way. I should have cut it the other way. So I took some photos and had a look and decided that I think actually what it needs is double matting. So I'm going to trim this one down to 6 1/8 by 4 1/8, because that's so that it's just got a little border around, just enough to make it pop. And I'll gut it and I'll do the same for this one. So just cutting the mat down, and then I'm going to gut that bit of foiling because you're not going to see it. And the important thing is to then glue the gutted mat down to the big piece of cardstock before you put the topper on. And then I'm just doing the same with the other piece and getting it ready to go together. And sticking them two together using the lines on the printed sheet as a guide, and then there's lines on the globed sheet as well, so I just used post-it notes there to make sure that it was centered. You could use a ruler, and then I'm just sticking it down on the front of the scrapbook. So now we're going to decorate inside. I've already done the first page there, so just one big photo, just an introduction. We visited the Brooklyn Bridge. I've cut the letters out. I've got a little journaling card that's tucked away. I'm missing the next 2 pages, and here I'm going to document our cycle ride around Central Park. So I'm using the Memories and More cards from the World of Good, and I'm using the World of Good DSP as well. I've chosen this green sheet because I think it works well. I'm going to create a pocket there by just folding over that sheet, and that's what I'm going to put the map in because I don't want, sometimes I cut maps up and do little bits in scrapbooks, but I want the whole map. So just cutting diagonally there so that map will fit in. So I'm just neatening it up. I do neat it up again later actually. And then I'm going to cover it with this lovely green paper, which I thought kind of went really well with it being Central Park, etc. So just 2 little beads of glue there to stick that down. And then I'm just doing a quick measure so that I can cut one half of the paper to fit that side of the pocket, and then when that's cut out and I'm happy with it, I can use it as a template for the other side. So just marking the top and the bottom of that diagonal there. Managed not to see where I'd put the pencil mark. So now that's like so. I can now do it as a template, remembering that I've got to reverse it because it'll be the other way around. So that makes cutting that section really easy. So just slicing that off and then just checking that it fits. Deciding I'm going to trim just a little smidge off just to make it fit better. So then I'm going to glue those down, having a little thought about where everything else is going to go. Haven't quite decided, might use the offcuts. I kind of do things and I think about it, and the ideas sort of spring after the fact, really, as I'm sort of doing it. I kind of light bulbs. I'm not one for planning, pre-planning. I'm one for doing it as I go. So there I'm just looking at the journaling cards thinking, oh, what can I do? That big one fits in there nicely, so that's perfect. And then I remember these meadow dies. These are the new dies. I love them. And so these were straight on my wish list. And they go through the little mini die cutting machine. So I'm cutting them all out there of mossy meadow ready to go on. So now I'm thinking I might cut using some Misty Moonlight because I'm wearing a blue frock. And I might do some of just the flower tops. So I'm gonna just cut some of these. To go on top. So I'm just gonna cut all the tops And then once they're cut out, I then got to trim all the different sort of flower heads off and the buds so that they can get stuck onto the green section. So I'm doing that for each of them, and I'm using tweezers to help because they're a little fiddly so that they sort of match the flower tops, which I think is a nice little touch and gives it a more sort of realistic look, if you like. And I think it's worth doing, and I like the fact that I've chosen the colour to sort of match the dress that I'm wearing as well. And so I then thought, oh, they need middles, so I'm using the bumblebee enamel dots there to go on the inside, which... So something that I noticed when I was die cutting the foliage was how nice that looked. Now obviously this has just been randomly cut, so I thought, oh, why don't I die cut a nice rectangle and then die cut that out. So I grabbed my favourite frames, the ornate layer dies, and I've taken this one out, which does a lovely sort of edging with holes in, and I have cut these. So I'm going to do one more, and so I thought I'd show you how I did that, and I thought they would look lovely on the page with the black showing through. So I'm going to do this die here. So I think the important thing is to remember to cut the rectangle first before you put the foliage in, and then you can't go wrong. There's no slippage. Then I decide that I want to make an envelope to put some journaling in. I want this specific piece of paper. It's not a full sheet, so I kind of cut it down and form a sort of envelope, but the bits at the side are missing, but I do sort that out later on. It would be better if you had a full sheet. So then I'm just sticking on my letters. So in the same way as I did before, I'm just laying them out. I cut them out of playful alphabets, and there is some faint lines, grids on the sheet, which are useful to sort of line up. So using that to line up to make sure it's straight, using my tweezers and my fine tip glue pot to stick them down. So I am making sure there's equidistance, making sure the centres are sort of lined up all the way up. Otherwise, I just think it looks odd. So I think it's worth spending the time to check that it is working. So I've started laying everything out. So I've incorporated those cutouts that I did, and I decided that I wanted some like fake photo corners, and so for that I've used my stitched shaped famelets. I've used the smallest square. I love these. Sad to see them go. So I cut one each out in Misty Moonlight and Mossy Meadow, and I'm just simply taking long scissors and cutting them diagonally across. Like so, and then I'll just lay one on top of the other. See, I did that as well, and then they can be laid across the corner of the photo. Okay, so I've stuck all these in, and I'm quite pleased with how it's turned out, and I thought I'd give you my little tip on adding the photo corners, and then I'm going to do adding my little envelope there. So what I do is the one that's going on the underneath, I'll line up with the photograph. These are printed on photo paper. It's about 140 GSM, so they're not right thick. But I don't use original photos when I'm scrapbooking. I always make copies. Well, these are electronic photos, digital photos anyway. So I can print off as many as I like. But like when I was making my mum and dad's album, I scanned all their photos and printed them out. So there you can see, let me check. Yeah, you can see that it's sort of flush with the photograph. And then I just put a bit of glue on the back of the one that's going to go on top. And I just eyeball it to make sure that it's straight with the edge of the photo. And that's how I do that. You could, of course, do just one, and then if you're just going to do one, I wouldn't line it up. I would just have it overlapping so it looks like it's poking in. I mean, you could, if you're using original photos, you could make your own photo corners like this, glue it down, and then you can slip your photo in. I mean, that's what old-fashioned photo albums were like. So then we just finish off, do the other side exactly the same, and then eyeball to stick the top bit on, and then stick it down. And then all that's left is finishing off the envelope. So as there is no sides, I took a bit of cardstock, folded in half, and I'm going to stick that in. So I'm just sticking the back in so it folds out, and then I'm going to put the story in then. And then I'm using some twine to hold it closed. So I'm just sticking it on the back and then tying a bow so that it can be open and closed. And it's sort of a nice hidden bit of journaling, but it also looks quite nice. I like the wood effect. It goes with the park and the trees, and the colour fits with the flowers and the dress. So that's not adding very much bulk. So that's my page finished. So I do hope you like that and found that quite useful if you're thinking about doing some scrapbooking. And I say, and you know, thinking about sort of adding extra pockets. It is a very enjoyable way of spending a few hours. I've binged watched Netflix whilst I'm doing it, and that I've got other things to do. I wanted to make the pockets, so I've skipped over that page. So yeah, that's my album. I used that to lean it down on. So hope you like that. Hope you'll go and check out everybody else's videos and see what they've done in this theme of anything but a card. They're all linked down below. There's also links to my shop for buying any of these things, and there's links to my blog as well, where I'll have some measurements. Not that there's much to measure, but some information about how I put this together and some photos. Okay, see you again soon.